This is the Page Publishing Book Club. How you doing? I'm Alice Stockton Rossini. Okay, I have a confession. I had a pig. I loved my pig. He was the cutest pig. It was a guy that I knew who had to get rid of his pig. So I said, all right, I'll take the pig. My pit bull bull mastiff, Sophie, she wasn't happy. And then I found out I couldn't have the pig because you have to be like zoned for a farm in order to have a pig in New Jersey. So I had to get rid of the pig. But the moral of my story is you just never know what kinds of animals can become pets. Now, Rick Parent supplied music stores with guitars, amps, and synthesizers for like 40 years. And it was a conversation with one of his clients that led him down the path to writing about a special kind of pet you are going to fall in love with after reading his book, The Hunter Chronicles.
One of my music dealers asked me about where I lived. It's the first meeting, who, what, why, when, and where, And in the midst of that, I said, of course, my house pet is a wolf. And she looked at me like I was out of my mind, you know. She said, "Oh my God, aren't you afraid?" I said, "Oh no." Anyway, I told her how I got Hunter, and that she said, "Could you write that down?" I said, "Now?" No, she goes, "No, just sometime the next week or two, just write that down." And so I did as I told it. And she said, "Great. Every month I want you to write an article about living with a wolf. And after 6 years, you've got a book." And it was ongoing. I didn't know how things went. She wanted to increase her, her
Her readership.
readership. Yeah, thank you. And I just, I didn't realize how many people were really enjoying it. And then when she said, "Well, Rick has said that this last Hunter Chronicle is the last one he's not going to do anymore," and she got 23,000 emails of protest.
What?
Yeah, in Birmingham, Alabama. Yeah, so I just totally freaked, and I went, "Well, start them over again." And then, of course, events happened. So there were 3 chapters after the original ending that I wrote, and they are the most significant in the book.
So, how did you wind up with a wolf? I mean, is it even legal to have a wolf?
Yeah, it is in all but 6 states, which is kind of ironic because those states are actually the ones with most wolves.
But I mean, isn't there a fear that they could turn on you? I mean, they're not like dogs, right?
Oh, no, absolutely not at all like a dog. They're much friendlier and they don't have attitudes. They don't bark. I live with another wolf now, one that he raised in his final days.
What? Okay, so what made you even want to get a wolf? Like, what's this book about?
Oh, I didn't. It's about the 17 years living with a wolf and all the bizarre events. It goes from me being a reluctant adopter of this baby wolf to becoming overwhelmed with the amount of love they show.
Well, how did you stumble on a baby wolf?
Well, that's chapter one, young lady.
Okay.
I went to a drive-through zoo and was married to a quite crazy woman. And I saw the baby wolf behind the counter. I said, "Oh my God, if she sees that, I'm dead." She did. I heard, "Is that a baby wolf?" And the girl goes, "Yeah, you want to hold him?" And I'm going, "Oh no, step two." And Beverly says, "My God, he's so soft. How old is he?" And the girl answered with the last words I wanted to hear, and that was, "Oh my God, he's 5 weeks today. It's the first day we can sell him."
Oh.
So I tried to get out of it and said, "Excuse me, I can buy a wolf." And she said, "Yes, if you have a license." So that's kind of a challenge for a man. So I said 09083411 Texas. And she goes, "What? I'm going to be the first person to sell. He's $200." And I threw down a credit card. I was a hero and a half. And all the time, when I saw his dad at 165 pounds, I went, "This could be bad."
Okay, so they're domesticated. It's not like you got this wolf from the wild.
Uh, no, but I never have, but there's never been a wolf attack on a human being. There are 2 suspected cases, but there's no DNA match to a wolf. They're they have the worst PR people in the world.
Wolves.
Yes. Oh yeah. Between the Grimm's people
Yeah.
and Hollywood, boy, they are.
Yeah. They get a bad rap.
Oh, it's ridiculous. And to know one, to love one, is really it's a life changing experience. The intelligence and the love from this animal are unequaled. I've never even heard about it. The communication is the thing that really shocked me. I constantly knew what he was thinking. And I believe that's how wolves communicate with each other. He taught me to fear nothing and just live. And I had a lady post the other day a letter to me, and she said something that I think is the most impactful. She says, "If you're an atheist when you open the Hunter Chronicles, you won't be when you close the book."
Really?
Oh yes, it migrates in bookstores and in libraries. It migrates to the inspirational section.
Huh.
One time I did something very, very stupid. We could do anything together and Hunter would be happy. But one time I decided it was going to be Halloween and I bought a little duck outfit for him as a Halloween costume. You see, you're laughing already. I put it on him and took the picture and then looked at the back of the camera and went, "Oh my God, I'm sorry. I will never do this again." They have more muscles in their face so you can read their expression. And he was furious. And the picture is in the book and it's just along with about 300 other pictures. So he was a challenge to say the least. And of course, knowing that I could not do things to him, we would do things together. I mean, I would dress up in a wacky outfit, and he would be happy to do it then. So we had amazing time together, and there's so much that I learned about wolves, really out of necessity. Because I, when I found out there hadn't been a wolf attack on a human, I was really feeling relaxed, and then I had a heart attack, and my doctor told me to move out to the country. And when he saw the 100 acres we moved onto, he looked at me like, oh yeah, Dad."
Oh, yeah. I'm home now, baby.
Yeah, he would chase donkeys. I've had like 20 donkeys. He'd chase them. If they slowed down, he'd slow down. He didn't want to catch them. He just wanted to play. And then he'd cool his feet off in the pond and then just, come home.
Are wolves okay around kids? Like little kids?
Oh my God. They do a ritualistic thing. They go to the mother or the guardian of that child and ask permission. And I've seen it with a grandmother and her baby, or actually 1 month old granddaughter. And you just look at the pictures and go, "Oh my God,
Wow.
he's asking permission."
So, I mean, you had what, over 20,000 people up in arms when the Chronicles ended. So, I would imagine you've got some interest in this book.
Oh yes, and quite a few of the sales have been from the Birmingham, Alabama area. That's why I wrote the articles for that. Uh, but I do book clubs and social clubs and things like that. Do lectures and talk about how much fun he was. Schools I do, and the kids are just like, wow, because they don't have that prejudice these days.
Right. Is he still with you?
No, he died in August, actually August 5th of 2017. But a no-kill rescue about 25 miles away call me and say, "Rick, you know about wolves, we know about dogs." And I said, "What's up, Alan?" And he said, "Well, we have a litter of baby wolves, and I was wondering if you could come socialize them." So I met Mom and her friend, and after getting to know them and them calming down, they let the kids out, and all the kids ran to the food because they hadn't eaten all day, all night, except one. One walked up to Mom, started kissing her and kissing her. Mom pushes her away. She repeats that. Mom pushes her away. So then she gets a drink of water and looks up at me sitting there and crawls in my arms. And I'm going, my God, you're going to make such a lover for somebody. You are amazing. You know, you'd rather have love than food. And that's really a wolf characteristic. And I went to put her down and she screamed. And the girl at the no kill says, Rick, I got a question. I went, what? And she goes, what you going to name her? I said, Wind Song. She'll be Windy for short. And I have her now. She's 4 years old.
Rick, I love it. I love it. What a great story. Next book, Windy the Wolf. Thanks so much. An English and writing professor in upstate New York, Carol Harblin, brings two passions together, holistic health and writing, and what she calls her cookbook for life. It is entitled Live Life Now, Not Later, the life recipe.
I wanted to reach as many people as I could to connect with them and tell them how to become more aware of our own bodies and to listen to our bodies and to trust ourselves and to stay present in the moment and not to get ahead of ourselves and not to live too much in the future or not live in the past. Each chapter is a life ingredient, and I also give morsels of my stay in India. So there's a chapter for ingredient for forgiveness, ingredient for peace, ingredient for time or energy. So in my ingredient for forgiveness, I have letting go is different from repressing and dissociating. Letting go is a conscious decision wherein we are very aware of our past, yet we choose to leave the past behind us. The first step is to forgive ourselves and our past. To accept our past is to accept who we are right now. The real life experiences that I wanted to share, more like a memoir, are the India experiences. One experience was how I felt peace every day while I was in India. I saw kids running and laughing in the streets. Some had poor clothing on, it wasn't, high-end clothing, but yet there were people on the street who did have high-end brand clothing, like you see in New York City or something, but there were some kids with poor clothing, and they were running and laughing and playing cricket in the street, running around, playing tag, and they were in the moment. They didn't care about materials. They didn't care about how much money they had. They didn't care about even the next meal. They were just having fun now. And there's just a lot of peace in every moment. And if we have a bad moment in our day, we can't let it permeate the entire day. So if there's like a dirty sand on the beach, is that going to affect the entire beach? No. So why would we have an entire day or an entire life be permeated by a bad moment or a bad couple moments? And one of the other things I mentioned in the India experiences is how there's so much more connectedness among the Indian families and how there seems to be more nurturing and bonding. I mean, I saw a family traveling on a motorcycle together, like 3 or 4 kids, husband, wife, all on a motorcycle, and they're all together, and they're all having fun, and nobody is griping and moaning and complaining and, oh God, I don't want to be seen with my family. They don't take each other for granted, and there's a lot of enrichment and peace in that. But I still think it is a discovery of self-awareness and just reconnecting with our own body's rhythms and learning to trust ourselves more, becoming aware of the ingredients and what we drink, our food, anything that is consumed, that we consume, anything that goes into our bodies. We have to be aware of, what goes into our mouth, what goes past our skin, what is in things. Because there's many ingredients out there that people are not aware of, and that can do us in. So we need to stay attuned to our bodies. And there is on one page in particular, talking about GMO foods, non-GMO foods, and some ingredients in some common breakfast products. I didn't mention the actual breakfast product in the ingredient list that I listed, but then I did mention a couple of brands to look out for.
So your book covers us inside and out. Good enough, Carol. Thanks. They say writing is rewriting, and Neil Lindley, an RN in Gulfport, Mississippi, did exactly that with his book, A Paramedic's Life. He rewrote it 4 times starting in 2004 before he finally ended up publishing it.
So it describes my ending of my Air Force career because I wanted to switch to a field to be a medic, but really more than a medic. There's a group called pararescuemen in the Air Force. They are sent to rescue downed aircrew. And the Air Force said there are too many of them compared to your current job, so you can't leave your current job. So I decided to get out and become a paramedic in the civilian world. I actually got a lot more experience being a civilian medic because we are right to taking care of people in car crashes and everything.
God, I don't know how you keep it together.
Well, that took some training, and I had some people actually describe that in the book because I wanted to run to scenes, run in the house real quick, get to whoever's having trouble. And I had 2 primarily mentors who took me aside and said, I never want to see you do that again. And they taught me something I didn't know I needed to know, how to be on scene, how to act. And that made all the difference. If you run, your heart rate gets up, it rises, your blood pressure comes up, you start to sweat, you're shaking. You're not going to be able to perform what you need to do. Be able to conduct the fine motor skills that you need to start an IV, to intubate someone, to whatever. So it's basically to keep yourself calm. That's all the book is. I just took each sort of category, medical, trauma, and stuck it in there. So the first night that I was a paramedic, we had gotten a call to a rollover accident, and it turned into a mass casualty event. So it was a little more than I was expecting when I first got the call. So what happened was there were 5 people in a very small Toyota something or other. I don't know. It was upside down when I got there. 3 of them had been ejected. 1 was in the car. One of the ones who was ejected was under the car, but alive, amazingly. So that's kind of like the toughest thing you have to do as a medic is figure out, so who's the most injured? And then what resources do I need? So it was kind of the perfect first call because it really tested all of those things they tried to teach me in that paramedic school. So I called the next responding ambulance, which was being manned by one of the 2 people who taught me how to be a paramedic, how to really be on scene. In fact, it was the one who told me never get to the scene before me. And he came, took the most injured person very professionally, and left.
I think your book should be required reading for anybody who wants to be an EMT. Tired of watching mindless TV and bored after retirement from the Navy, Robert Wilson took up writing and has so far published Madam President 1 and 2, and now Short Story Collection, Volume 1.
Well, each one of them has a different plot, basically about one person, and sometimes the whole family is talked about in the story. I got 21 in each volume, each book.
So is there a favorite short story you can tell me about?
The one I really like is Linda James. When she turned 3 years old, her mother bought her a set of cap guns and the outfit to go with it. And she didn't want to go to school. When she turned 6, she says, if I can't take my cap guns, I'm not going to school. But she finally gave up the cap guns and went to school.
All right, tell me another one.
Raymond's Orchard. He didn't ever know his last name. He fought with the Northern Army during the Civil War, and when the war ended, he was able to buy a section or he was given a section of land, 640 acres, I think. And he was a horticulturalist. He liked growing flowers, plants, trees, gardens, fruit gardens, vegetable gardens. And people from the local town come over and help him pick the fruits and vegetables, and he would sell them in town. After a few years, people got tired of the city they were in, so they moved closer to him and surrounded his property, and they called it Raymond's Orchard after he died. Gave some to family and a couple of friends up in Oregon, and hopefully they'll talk about it to their classmates that I went to school with, and that's the only promotion that I've had so far.
You say living alone gets boring and lonely, and you write to kill the boredom.
Yeah,
So if you got out to talk about your book, would that make your life more interesting?
that could be. I don't know.
Do you write about your keyboard? You cried over your keyboard?
You read that part, huh?
I saw that, yeah.
Uh,
Did you really soak the first two with tears and they shorted out?
no, I wore the letters off the keys, so I had to get rid of them. And I've got one spare keyboard that I haven't used yet.
Oh, okay. So do you play once in a while?
Yeah, the one I'm using, I'm losing part of the A and the E.
Listen, I think I'll be talking to you again because you have 2 more volumes, right?
Yeah, I got 3 volumes completed. I'm waiting for one of them to be finished, and then I got a 4th volume that I haven't sent out yet.
All right, so you're a busy guy.
Oh yeah.
A ruthless malpractice lawyer, a ruined OBGYN, hitmen, a woman trying to free a con facing the death penalty, a reporter who winds up becoming part of the story of Slats and Chanteuse. Inspired by some insufferable shenanigans Lee Bornstein experienced in his own life.
I had a little problem with some financial organization. One time, the original parking spot was filled up, and I had to go to another larger parking area, and I was in a rush, so I didn't pay attention to exactly where I parked. So I went back to the office and asked somebody to help me find my car. And as a result of that, somebody reported me and put me through all kinds of stuff where I couldn't touch my money, and they never even bothered to decide whether or not I had lost my marbles, or it was just one of those things that I forgot where my car was. And they admitted that they worried about lawsuits, and it was just the final straw. I always wanted to do a story about unlimited lawsuits, and that's what this novel is mostly about, where OBGYN is ruined by sue at all pretext. Class action lawyer, a billionaire, the king of torts in the United States, and he goes into hiding and vows revenge. And then the billionaire lawyer goes into hiding, and he hires his people to find the OBGYN, and the OBGYN has volunteers and people looking to find the class action lawyer, and that's what mostly the novel is about. Also, the Chanteuse is involved when she gets off a cop killer because he recites poetry while in jail, and she uses all her influence and top-flight lawyers to get him out. But then unforeseen circumstances happen, and she pays the price, and meantime, Slats, the reporter, gets involved in all of this, and that's what the novel is mostly about, and a lot of tension, hitmen, romance. You're trying to find their prey. So there's all kinds of stuff in there. And especially for New York, we've got all this stuff about punchball, stickball, Ringo Livio, Johnny on the Pony, Kick Your Can to Canarsie. and other things that would interest New Yorkers as various people are reminiscing as to when they grew up and so on.
All right, nothing better than that, Lee. Thanks. Boredom as a security guard in Illinois inspired Jay Van to finally write a book he had in his head for a decade that he describes as a murder mystery with a Wizard of Oz ending.
I was living with my father. My mother passed away in 97. It was just in my head. I kept playing around with the characters, and I was trying to figure out how to get the FBI into the storyline, and turns out that I didn't need to. Just developed, and the main characters, her name is Amanda, and her grandfather was rich, or made it in the stock market, and her dad made more money for inheritance, but she became a school teacher. And her father didn't think that was a very lucrative position to add to the family wealth. So throughout the beginning of the book, she's trying to prove to her dad, who is dead, that being a teacher is a worthwhile effort. And the only way she could do that was to win the Teacher of the Year award. She wasn't a very good teacher. She would get the titles of books mixed up, but like I said, at the end of the book, it's a total flip, because she wakes up from having an accident, and her father is still alive, and it's a feel-good ending.
So the whole book, she thinks her father is dead. So was it all a dream?
Yeah, that's why I said it's the Wizard of Oz ending. If she wakes up in a hospital bed with her father sitting by her bedside, her mother did, in fact, pass away at childbirth, so the father raised her, and she wakes up and finds out she was riding her horse, and the horse took a stumble, and she hit her head, and she had been unconscious for 2 weeks. When she wakes up, her dad, she's like mortified, because she in her mind, she was doing all sorts of bad things. There was a little comedy, there's a little education, there's a little torture scene, 2 murders and a 3rd assault, and a little bribery. And she's like, I had a really bad dream, and I was a bad person, and I did all these bad things, and all because I wanted to make you proud of me. And he's like, honey, I've always been proud of you.
Oh, nice. Okay, we got to run. This has been the Page Publishing Book Club. Download the podcast at 710WOR.com. I'm Alice Stockton Rossini.